Prologue route, the hors d'oeuvre to the race, winds its way around the city of Luxembourg for 5 miles. And in recent years, the Tour de France has given the host city the chance to show the public this great race close up. Today's winner in this early test against the clock will never decide the final winner of the Tour de France, but those who want to succeed know they must do well. Some have come, though, just for a taste of early fame. After leaving Luxembourg and crossing Belgium, the first real test comes on stage 5, a 45 miles time trial from the Brittany coastal town of Dinard to Rennes. Fignon, the French #1 hope, must stake a claim here, while Irishman Stephen Roach will want to prove that injury has finally left the 1987 winner. After the long time trial in northern France, by next weekend, interest moves further south to the Pyrenees and the 9th stage from Pau to Cotteret, with the climbs of the Col de Marie Blanc and the Col d'Aubisque. Last year it was Steve Bauer who opened with a stage win on the first day, and inspired as so many are by the Golden Fleece, he became a threat to riders like Delgado and the Colombian Lucho Herrera, whose hilly lands make them natural angels in the mountains. And as this race crosses to the Alps and the final battleground, a stage of 100 miles between Briançon and Alpe d'Huez on stage 17 makes a 4th cruel day in the Alps. After 2 mountain passes, this final ascent rises from the valley floor via 22 hairpin bends to a height of 6,100 feet. And Andy Hampston has proved he's a climber, and if he arrives here in contention, he'll match the best in these steep slopes, including Delgado, who's twice taken the yellow jersey here, and the Dutchman Steven Rooks, who has waited just for this race, knowing that for the last 2 years, the riders who have finished second have won in Paris. The last challenge this year comes on the final day, another individual time trial between Versailles and the Champs-Élysées. Can this 15 miles test be as decisive as it was in 1968, when the Dutchman Jan Janssen won the closest race in the history of the Tour by just 38 seconds? So the Champs-Élysées awaits the 76th winner of the event, and in this most international tour for years, Pedro Delgado is still seen as the man to beat.
Of course, Paris is 3 precarious weeks away. And while the handicappers have made their choices as to who might win, we've almost approached the moment where the Tour begins and the guessing ends. That a little bit later on ABC's Wide World of Sports. Right now to famous Bislett Stadium in Oslo, Norway. Here's Marty LaCour. Individual time trials are times of tension, as opposed to most stages of the race when riders are comforted by being surrounded by their teammates. This is Erik Breukink of the Netherlands, experiencing what it is like when you do it alone in the Tour. The Prologue course is only 5 miles and about 10 minutes long, but the first yellow jersey will be worn today by the fastest man, and that is an honor that will not be given away. You'll notice that Erik has decided to let his crew cut break the wind, as opposed to a sleek helmet, as riders sometimes opt for comfort over the gain of a couple of seconds. Whatever, it works for him as he takes the lead in a time of 9:54.47. Now to Greg LeMond of the United States and ADR, a Belgian team.
This time trial may be more important to Greg than almost anyone else in the race. He's got to convince himself he's recovered enough from his injuries to be competitive.
To me, now any victory is a great victory. I'm saying that the real yellow jersey means the final victory, but for me, I would give anything to take the yellow jersey early on, even if I had to give it up to somebody else. I'm here to do well, and if it means doing well in the Prologue or the first day or the second day, I'm going to try to do well.
The chemistry is different really this year for Greg. He's not thinking of the whole event, all 3 weeks of it, and trying to ration his energy. He's seeing what he can do right now.
In the most recent major competition, the Giro d'Italia, There was an individual time trial just like this near the end of the race, and while Greg had struggled in the middle, he finished second in that trial, giving him confidence for the Tour.
Well, I feel this is a real test for Le Mans today, and I really believe that Greg is not sure what to expect from himself. His return to the top has been slow but sure. He's building up his muscles and his stamina again. And by the way, real talent, you know, never does go very far away. It's tough to come back though, especially after injury, and Le Mans has no idea if his body's ready yet to take a full Tour de France. It must be said, he looks good here. He's got a fine style, no rolling of the shoulders, and that's always a sign of fatigue. And for the long-term morale, I think Greg needs to do a very good time today.
This the first appearance by Greg LeMond on the Tour since he won it in 1986. And he is currently in second place. Whatever confidence he hoped to draw from today's prologue is there for him to take. Where Greg LeMond has been before in this event, his old friend, Colorado's Andy Hampsten, wants to go. And he's coming up as the Tour de France continues. Has surprised many. His friend, American Andy Hampsten, at a speed near 30 miles per hour, is negotiating the outskirts of Luxembourg City. His prologue 5-mile ride underway. As he does that, Sam Posey gathers post-prologue thoughts from Greg LeMond.
It's a very good start for me. Usually if I'm in the top 10 in the prologue, I'm going to have a good Tour de France, but still I have no background to go by. I can't say if I'm going to be very good for 3 weeks, but I know I'm going to have some very good days. Now that I've seen this is a very good test because it's longer than the normal prologue and it has a very good hill, so there's no cheating, no faking it in a race like this.
What does today mean for you in the context of the entire Tour? Is it significant?
It's significant because it gives me a lot of confidence for the future time trials and even the mountain stages, but I'm still very worried for the mountains. I'm not sure how I'm going to do.
That's a superb ride by LeMond. He's come here for early success, and he's got it. He's among the leaders already. Well done, Greg.
Hampsten, the star member of the increasingly successful 7-Eleven team for this Tour de France, feels he has peaked perfectly. He had the right signals from his body as he finished third in the recent Tour of Italy, and doesn't necessarily look to make big noise in this prologue, rather look forward to the mountains, where his strength should scream out. About 17 seconds back without major error. Easily made up with somewhat of Andy Hampsten's talent, considering 2,026 miles or less.
Laurent Fignon, two-time winner of the Tour de France. Notice those unusual oval glasses. They give him kind of a scholarly demeanor. In fact, Fignon is better educated than the average pro rider, having studied veterinarian medicine at the university level. His successes have earned him respect, but somehow the fans have never really had an affinity for Fignon.
That's true, Sam, and he won the Tour, of course, in 1983 and 1984, and that was during the time of the great Frenchman Bernard Hinault, and he was riding then at his peak. But since then, Fignon's either been sick or injured, and this year he's won the Tour of Italy, and at last he appears to be back.
In that last major moment of glory, the 84 Tour de France, Laurent Fignon won 3 of the 4 individual time trials. He is riding slickly in this discipline again, and Fignon nudges Greg LeMond to third, only 6 seconds back of Breukink, the leader. Ireland's Sean Kelly moves through the first few miles of his 11th Tour de France, and as he does, something is very wrong at the start. For when Kelly departed, the defending champion Pedro Delgado should have been right behind him, but as you can see, he is not.
Delgado is the last man to go, and he knows his assigned slot, and with or without him, the clock will start.
Under this lightning bolt of drama, Ireland's Sean Kelly, almost 5 years ranked number 1 in the world, an honor he held until recently, moves toward the finish line. Kelly has never had the winning luck in the Tour. He has finished 7th and 4th and 5th, and 2 years ago was forced to retire from the Tour, and it brought him to tears. That is the passion he holds for this race. That is the ability he hopes to find in his legs. And his third place finish moves Greg LeMond to 4th. When the tones sound on the start clock in the start house that still awaits Pedro Delgado's time will move forward. If he shows up, he will be behind by however long he is late. In the Tour de France is receiving a poke in the eye. For its star and last year's champion, Pedro Delgado, is late. Very late. Now, media chaos, enhanced by the hunger for a major story that Pedro Delgado is writing. Pedro Delgado is 2 minutes and 42 seconds behind.
The difference between one top athlete and another is usually more mental than anything. And any great champion, and Delgado is that, knows to put mistakes behind him and salvage what's left of his opportunity. What I think he's got to avoid now is going too hard and compounding his error. More than once before this, Delgado has been the focus of unwanted drama. In fact, the story of this 29-year-old star from Segovia, Spain, is filled with deep emotions and dark clouds of suspicion. In 1986, learning that his mother had died as he raced through the Alps, he withdrew in tears. But the following year, on exactly the same part of the course, he roared into the lead to wear the yellow jersey. Last year, he won the race itself, but the euphoria of his victory was haunted by headlines like these: Delgado and drugs. 8 weeks ago in the Tour of Spain, again a superb ride to victory and again the shadow of scandal. Rumor had it that Delgado had bribed another rider. In that handsome Spanish head are stories yet to be told.
This is the first time ever in the Tour de France that a defending champion has started late in a prologue time trial. Delgado should have been here completely composed and ready, and instead he's off in a state of panic. He can't possibly recoup his time now, but let's not forget the mountains ahead can be great levelers for him.
As you could see, Pedro Delgado's Spanish supporters have not forsaken him on this day of mistake. But nor did they forsake him when the rumors of drugs began to circulate in last year's Tour. And they were delirious when he finally did win. And they will stick by his side again, only now hoping for one of the greatest comebacks in the history of the Tour de France. Pedro Delgado on this day finishes dead last. And now the speculation must be immediate. Just how did the almost unthinkable ever happen? The final standings in this 5-mile prologue to begin the Tour de France. Eric Breukink will wear the yellow jersey tomorrow. Greg LeMond with an encouraging 4th. And Pedro Delgado, 198th. Eric Breukink's family has been building bicycles for 3 generations. Today he rode his faster than anyone else. The prologue is normally a fairly quiet event. The cyclists barely getting their feet wet in the first few miles of the Tour. But today, Pedro Delgado may have made the prologue the turning point in the 1989 Tour de France.